Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into, well, maybe not the most glamorous part of aviation, but certainly a critical one, the global market for fuselage splices.
Right. Not exactly headline news usually, but absolutely essential. These are the bits, holding the main sections of the plane's body together. Structural integrity, basically.
Couldn't fly without them.
Mm.
So our goal here, using insights from a cognitive market research report, is to get beyond just the surface level. We want to give you a real sense of this market's dynamics.
Exactly. Where's the growth? What are the trends? Who are the key players region by region? That's what we'll explore.
Let's start with the big picture numbers then. What's the overall size?
Okay, so the report pegs the global market at $406.2 million back in 2021.
Right.
And looking forward, it's projected to hit $490 million by 2025.
Okay, decent growth.
And then climb quite a bit more, reaching $713 million by 2033.
So definitely a market on the up. That gives us an overall growth rate, a CAGR of what, about 4.8%?
Yeah, 4.8% compound annual growth rate over that forecast period. But like you said, that top line number, it kind of smooths over the really interesting stuff happening regionally.
Absolutely. That's where the different stories emerge, isn't it? Let's dig into those regions, starting with North America, a traditional aerospace stronghold.
Right. North America is significant. It accounted for $158.4 million in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
The forecast sees it reaching $185.7 million by 2025 and then $253.1 million by 2033.
So a regional CGR there of 3.9%.
That's at 3.9%. Solid, predictable growth, you could say.
And I assume the U.S. is the lion's share of that.
Oh, definitely. The U.S. market was $127.7 million in 2021.
Oh.
Forecasted to grow to $196.7 million by 2033. That's a 3.6% CAGR. Reflects its huge manufacturing and MRO base.
But wait, looking at the numbers here, Canada actually has a higher growth rate.
Yeah, that's one of those interesting little details. Canada started smaller, $17.4 million in 2021.
Right.
But it's projected to reach $33.2 million by 2033. That's a 5.4% CAGR.
Huh. Any ideas why? Faster expansion there.
Well, the report doesn't spell it out, but you could speculate. Maybe specific aircraft programs based there, or, perhaps faster adoption of newer splice technologies, maybe for composites.
Interesting thought. And Mexico.
Mexico's growing steadily, too.
Yeah.
From $13.3 million in 2021 up to a forecast $23.3 million by 2033. That's a 4.8% CAGR, right on the global average.
Okay. Let's hop across the Atlantic, Europe, another major aerospace hub. What's the story there?
Europe's figures.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, $120.6 million in 2021, growing to $143.6 million in 2025, and the forecast for 2033 is $203.9 million.
And the CAGR for Europe overall?
It's 4.5%, so healthy, but just a touch under the global rate.
And within Europe, are there standouts?
Yes, definitely. The UK actually shows the strongest growth in Europe, according to this data, a 5.7% CAGR.
Wow.
Yeah, projected to go from $21.1 million in 2021 up to $41 million by 2033.
And Germany, also a big player.
Germany's solid, too. $27.1 million in 2021, growing to $50.2 million. That's a 5.3% CAGR. Also quite strong.
What about other key European nations? France, Italy?
France is projected to reach $21 million by 2033, growing at 4.5%.
Okay.
Italy, starting from $10.4 million in 2021, is expected to hit $18.4 million with a 4.9% CAGR. Okay. Russia shows more, let's say, moderate growth at 3.5%, reaching $27.3 million. The report also mentions Spain climbing to $11.4 million and Luxembourg to $2.2 million, though the timeframes aren't quite as explicit there.
And the rest of Europe lumped together.
Yeah, the rest of Europe category contributes too, growing from $13.4 million to $20 million, but at a slower 3.2% CAGR.
So it sounds like North America and Europe are showing, dependable, steady growth in established markets. But where's the real acceleration? Where's the market really taking off?
Now we get to the really dynamic part.
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
Acceleration. Where's the market really taking off?
Now we get to the really dynamic part, Asia Pacific. This region is, well, it's the clear growth engine according to this report.
Okay, lay the numbers on us.
It started at $87.3 million in 2021.
Right.
And it's forecast to surge to $181.1 million by 2033.
Wow, that's more than doubling in that time frame.
Exactly. And look at the regional CAGR, 6.2%. That's significantly higher than anywhere else.
And who's driving that within APAC? China, I presume.
China is definitely a huge part of it. It goes from $40.9 million to $85.7 million. That's a 6.3% CAGR on its own.
Hmm.
Japan's also expanding well, 5.4% CAGR,
Yeah.
reaching $27.5 million.
But wasn't there one country that stood out even more?
Yes, India. The numbers for India are quite startling, really.
So.
Starts from a smaller base, okay, $10 million in 2021,
Yeah.
but it's projected to hit $26.4 million by 2033. The CAGR there is an incredible 8.4%.
8.4% for fuselage splices. That's huge.
It really is. It's the highest country-specific CAGR mentioned anywhere in the report data we have.
What could possibly be driving that kind of growth? It must be more than just general trends.
You'd have to assume it points to really significant activity. Maybe a massive expansion of domestic airline fleets needing new planes, perhaps a push in local manufacturing or assembly, maybe both. Increased investment seems almost certain. That 8.4% figure really makes you sit up and take notice.
Absolutely. Are there other fast movers in the Asia-Pacific region?
Yes, Australia is another strong performer. A 7.4% CAGR is predicted there,
Wow.
reaching $13 million by 2033. South Korea is forecast to hit $16.1 million, and Southeast Asia collectively grows to $7.2 million, both around a 5.3% or 5.4% CAGR. So broad strength across the region.
Okay, so Asia-Pacific is definitely the hot spot. What about South America?
South America is growing, but on a smaller scale. Steady is probably the word. Brazil leads the way there.
I guess for Brazil.
$10.8 million in 2021, forecast to reach $21 million by 2033. That's a healthy 5.6% CAGR.
And Argentina?
Argentina is growing even slightly faster, actually, at 5.8% CAGR, expected to reach $9.9 million by 2033.
Okay, and others in the region?
Yeah, the report gives 2033 forecasts for Colombia at $4 million, Peru at $3.3 million, and Chile at $3.1 million. So gradual increases across the board.
Right. And finally, the Middle East and Africa, often grouped together in these reports.
Yes, here we see, again, moderate but quite consistent growth. Egypt, for instance, grows from $1.6 million to $3.1 million, a 5.6% CAGR. Turkey is similar, $1 million up to $1.9 million at 5.1%. And the rest of the Middle East collectively grows from $1.9 million to $3.4 million, a 5.2% CAGR. Consistent, if not explosive.
So we've painted this picture, a market nearing, what, $750 million globally by 2033, growing overall, but with these really stark regional differences, Asia-Pacific, especially India, just soaring ahead. What does the report say are the underlying reasons for this global growth, the big drivers?
It boils down to three main things, really. First, simply increasing aircraft production worldwide, more planes being built.
Makes sense.
Second, technological advancements. That could be new materials, new joining techniques, more complex designs, all influencing splice requirements.
Right.
And third, just rising aerospace investments generally. More R&D, more infrastructure, new programs. It lifts the whole sector.
And how do those big picture trends trickle down to demand for something specific, like a splice?
Well, it's pretty direct, isn't it? Airlines need more planes to meet demand. Manufacturers build more planes, which means they need more parts, including the splices to join fuselage sections.
Okay.
And if technology changes, say, towards more composites or different alloys, the type of splice needed might change, potentially becoming more sophisticated or valuable. And general investment just creates the demand environment for all these components.
Yeah, you can really see how this seemingly background component is directly tied to the health and activity of the entire aerospace industry.
Absolutely. It's a fundamental piece of the puzzle.
So to wrap it up, a growing global market for fuselage splices powered by these core aerospace drivers. But the really fascinating part is the regional variation, with Asia-Pacific and India in particular showing phenomenal growth, far outpacing the more established markets in North America and Europe.
That's a good summary of the key takeaways from the data presented.
And thinking about that contrast, that massive acceleration in India, for example, compared to the steadier pace in the US or Germany, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What specific local factors beyond those global trends are fueling such different speeds? Is it specific government policy, a unique domestic market boom, certain manufacturing capabilities coming online? What are those unique ingredients creating that surge for fuselage splices there specifically? Something to think about.
Indeed. Those stark differences in growth rates certainly invite deeper questions about the specific conditions on the ground in those high-growth areas.
Well, it's been a fascinating look under the hood at a market you don't often hear about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of fuselage splices. Welcome to the deep dive. We're digging into the source material you shared, that report from Cognitive Market Research on the fuselage splices market. Yeah, drivers, challenges, and trends. So our mission today, really, is to unpack what's behind that technical name, look at the forces, the, hurdles, and some pretty interesting innovations shaping this really critical bit of building aircraft, all for you.
It does sound a bit niche, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But fuselage splices, they're fun.
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.
Bit niche, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But fuselage splices, they're fundamental.
Right.
They're how you connect the main body sections of a plane. Highly engineered connections, really. Their strength, their precision.
Right.
It's all about structural integrity, safety, and, well, how fast you can actually build these things.
Okay, so let's talk about those forces then, the drivers. The report seems pretty clear that just sheer demand for aircraft is a huge factor.
Oh, absolutely.
More flights, defense needs globally. It just means more planes. And so more splicing.
Exactly. And tied right into that is the big shift, the really big one, towards lightweight materials. Composites, carbon fiber.
Yeah.
That's not just swapping out metal. It completely changes how you join the sections. Composites often need bonding, maybe specialized fasteners.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different from old school riveting.
Mm.
And that pushes the need for advanced, sometimes automated splicing systems built just for those materials.
Which I guess leads right into another driver, automation, robotics. The report highlights that, and it's not just about saving on labor, is it?
No, not at all. Especially for, say, high-volume planes like narrow bodies or even these newer aircraft types. Automated splicers give you amazing consistency.
Consistency you maybe can't get manually.
It's much harder manually, especially with tricky composite materials. So yeah, consistency means better quality, faster production lines. It's key.
Okay, but it's not all straightforward. The market's got its challenges. Friction points, as you said. The report flags, well, high upfront costs. That seems major.
Definitely. We're talking complex, very specialized machines here. And it's not just buying the machine.
It's integrating it, right?
Exactly. Integrating it into how things are already done. That's a huge cost factor.
Yeah, and that cost thing, it feels like it's tied to the need for specialized training, too.
For sure.
You can't just have anyone operate these advanced automated systems. It's a whole different skill set compared to, older methods. Finding and training people, the report says that's a real bottleneck.
It is. It limits how quickly these things get adopted, particularly for maybe smaller companies or MROs, maintenance and repair outfits.
And then there's the whole regulation side of things. You're dealing with new materials, complex processes. Getting that certified for aviation must be intense.
No, it is. Meeting those safety standards, getting the green light from regulators, it's rigorous. It takes time. And that can definitely slow down how fast new splicing tech actually makes it onto the factory floor.
Okay. Despite all that, though, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. The report talks about some cool tech advancements kind of pushing back.
Yeah, definitely.
Like AI, artificial intelligence, and vision systems.
That's a big one. Think about AI guiding sensors for ultra-precise alignment checks, like in real time.
Wow.
Or spotting tiny flaws while the splicing happens. That cuts down errors, cuts down expensive rework later. It's potentially huge.
And what about that urban air mobility section, the eVTOLs, the air taxis?
Yeah, that's a fascinating angle. Those aircraft are often smaller, more modular, and heavily used composites.
So they need different kinds of splicing tech.
Exactly. They often need more compact, maybe more flexible solutions than you'd use for a giant airliner. So the demand in that fast-growing sector is actually spurring innovation in smaller, maybe more adaptable splicer systems. So if we try to bring it all together, the market's clearly getting a boost from just needing more planes and that necessary shift to lightweight composites.
Right, but it's also really wrestling with these big hurdles, like the serious money needed for the advanced systems, the challenge of training people, and just navigating the complex rules with new tech and materials.
Definitely grappling with those. But these exciting steps in AI and the sort of unique needs coming from that UAM space, they are bringing new ideas to the table that could really, change things up.
Which kind of leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. The report mentions developing modular, portable splicer systems. So think about that. How could that innovation, maybe driven partly by these smaller aircraft needs, totally change aircraft maintenance? Could we see complex structural repairs happening in more places, maybe closer to where the planes actually are, instead of only in those massive central repair hubs? Something to ponder as this tech evolves.
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.